Stampers, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Nancy Novak. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today is day 3 of our Darling Details tutorial. So the Darling Details has the stamp set and the dies. Yesterday we concentrated a lot on the dies and we made this card. We cut out the doily frame and we used the outline flower. And today we're going to concentrate on the stamps. We're going to do two-step stamping. I'm going to show you how to do that. And we're going to use the pieces that we used or that we didn't use in yesterday's card. So let me bring in all the supplies and we'll get started. So again, I'm using some very vibrant colors. I'm using Berry Burst and I'm using Granny Apple Green. And I have a scrap for stamping on of white. And I have an inside piece of white. And then these are the pieces from yesterday. So we cut out the large frame and we got the inside piece. We're going to use that today. And we cut out the small frame. And yesterday we used the inside piece for yesterday's card. That's that little square rectangle right there. So we're using the leftover pieces today. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take the Granny Apple Green cardstock and we're going to cut out a large frame. And I'll be right back. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You get the inside piece, and I'm going to show you what to do with the inside piece for today's card. And then you get this pretty doily frame, and I'm going to cut it to size. So this one I didn't have cut exactly to size before I started, so I'm just going to give it a little trim right along the edges, and I'm also going to go ahead and knock away all those inside little dots. So it exposes the pretty doily and you can see the colored paper underneath it. So let me get that done and I will be right back. Okay, so on my project sheet, I will have the size of the Granny Apple Green piece that you should start with if you want it to be exact, so you don't have to do any trimming. And just so you know, that's going to be 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. And then the frame fits perfectly on it. But there's so many ways you can use this frame. That's just the choice that I'm making in the card that I created here. But you could cut a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece and just center your frame right in the middle, and you would have a larger outside edge. So there's lots of different ways you can use this. But again, that on my project sheet, I will have all the sizes, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's bring in this smaller piece. And this is how we cut it out. And again, we started with a certain size, which was 3 7/8 by 2 5/8, and then we cut the small one out. I'm just going to angle each corner. I'm just following that dotted line. And then back to this piece here. I want to bring in a couple of other dies because this center piece, we're going to use it and we're going to cut out 2 sprigs. And those we're going to be putting on our card. So that's a good way to use this extra piece. Okay, so I have 2 sprigs that I cut out using that extra piece. And a little tip, if for any reason when you are cutting out detailed dies and they aren't coming out really nice and sharp and clean, I suggest that you use nice, clean, new cutting plates, because if they're a little curved or something, sometimes the cutting isn't very even, so it can give you a little bit of trouble. But these came out beautifully. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece here and I'm going to run it through and give it some texture with the Time Worn Type embossing folder. Okay, so now we have that pretty texture. And now I'm going to take these 2 pieces and I'm just going to glue them together, and then we're going to stamp and lay our flowers on top. Okay, now we're going to bring in our little scrap for doing some stamping. And there's a couple of different ways to do this. Everyone has the way that they like to do it. So what I suggest is when you get your stamp set, try it both ways. And I'll tell you what those are in a second, and see which one works best for you. So I'm going to bring in Berry Burst, and the 2-set stamp has outline stamps and it has filler stamps. So I like to do the outline stamp first. So I am going to ink this flower up in Berry Burst. And this is the outline stamp. And I'm going to bring in the half flower and ink that up. Then I'm going to bring in Granny Apple Green ink and stamp the leaf outline. And then I have a cute little flower die here, and I'm going to stamp that in Berry Burst. I'm going to stamp 2. Okay, so now we're going to stamp with the filler stamp. We have our outlines done. I'm going to bring in my little piercing mat. I like to use this with the photopolymer stamps. Gives it a little bit more of an even surface to stamp on and gives you a nice finished stamped image. So I am going to ink this up. This is the filler stamp in Berry Burst, and I have a little scrap here. I'm going to stamp off. Now I'm going to stamp over that lined image, and these are the photopolymer stamps, so they're pretty easy to line up. You can just look through them and line them up. And there you go. Isn't that pretty? Okay, now I'm going to bring in the half flower lined image. And again, I'm going to ink it up in Berry Burst. I'm going to stamp off. And I'm going to bring in the filler leaf stamp and stamp that in Granny Apple Green. You know what? That's not too dark. I'm going to do it solid. I'm not going to stamp off. So I'm just going to line it up and stamp. So the way I did it was I did the line stamp first, and then I did the filler stamp. And I'm going to show you one more time doing it the other way. So I'm going to bring in the filler stamp and ink it up in Berry Burst and stamp off. And then I'm going to bring in the line stamp and just line it up and stamp over that image. So in my mind, the way I like to do it, the reason I like to do it the other way is because when you do the line stamp, it's darker. And then when you bring the other stamp over on top of it, to me, it's just easier to see through because you have that darker image that you're stamping on. That's just a personal preference. Like I said, when you get your stamp set, you can play with it. It's really easy to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring in the dies that match with these stamped images, and then I'm going to cut them out. So I'll cut out 2 little flowers, the leaf, the half flower, and the big flower. This was just a sample to show you how to do it, how to stamp the other way. Okay, so we have all of our pieces. Aren't they pretty? And now we're going to bring our card base back in, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this. Then I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. Kind of fits right inside that green frame. Now I'm going to pop up the large flower. And then I'm going to glue all these little pieces behind this flower. And then we have some stamping to do for our sentiment. I cut this leaf in half and then glued it down. Okay, on this little piece, I'm going to stamp "Hello There." That's about a 3/4 inch wide strip. So I am just going to angle it like this. Then I'm going to cut it off and figure out just how much I need. So I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to pop it up on a dimensional. Okay, so that's how we put the front of the card together. Isn't it pretty? I love it. Okay, let's do a little stamping on the inside. Okay, so for the inside, I'm just going to take a little piece of Granny Apple Green. That's about 3/8 of an inch, and I am going to go ahead and texturize it with that time-worn type embossing folder. Okay, so that textured piece is going to go on the inside of our card, but before I glue it, I'm going to go ahead and stamp on the inside. So I'm going to stamp with Berry Burst, and I'm going to use one of the other sentiments that come in the stamp set. Count me among all the people who are here for you. Okay, so that's today's card. Isn't that pretty? I love the colors. They're so different. And what a great friendship card. I just love this set for sending out cards to your friends. I mean, it's just perfect. Do you want to mention that today's card and yesterday's card and tomorrow's card, which is a fun fold, are going to be all part of the make and take kits that I'm giving away with a minimum order of $40 at my online store using my host code. So I want to make sure you know about that because that is brand new. Tomorrow's card, I said, is a fun fold, and we're going to use this cute little lacy border die and some of that pretty masterfully made designer series paper. So I'll be back tomorrow at noon. Hope to see you then. Please like, comment, and share my video. And if you're not a subscriber, please click subscribe so you don't miss any of the new videos. I'll see you tomorrow. Don't be shy. Stamp and shout.